Good morning to both of you. Hopefully we'll be having others join us this morning. As you can see, I'm live from the BJMBC building. So you might recognize the echo, right, of the classroom. Someone from Globe is at our place right now, so hopefully restoring our internet sa condo. But it's actually been good this week. I've come to BJMBC for all of my classes and lessons, and gives me a chance to be back in the building, and the internet is strong here. And so anyway, I actually had to wear shoes, right? Okay, I'm already recording, so we're good on that for those who don't jump in. I know John had trouble with his internet, and Sophie has not been well today, so expecting Ezekiel though any minute. Just a clarification for your videos. I know that as of last night when I checked, there weren't too many videos posted on our chat group. So I'm going to give everyone until Saturday of the week of class. Because our class falls on Thursday, I'm going to give you, until Friday or Saturday. Saturday would be the latest for you to post your videos. Because then everyone still has to comment on them, right? Then I'll put up the new screen for our new videos. Because I'm guessing that you won't post any videos from our new class, right away. I'm guessing you'll use a couple days to practice those things, and that probably Monday or Sunday would be the earliest you would post those new videos. So I'll try to go in on Saturday evening or Sunday afternoon and change the screen that says, okay, new week's videos, and then you can start posting the new ones. I hope that's not too confusing. Do keep posting those, keep commenting on those. If you haven't commented on some back ones, you could go back and comment. I will try to go back and check those. I do mark who has posted and who has commented. If you do go back and comment on a previous week, maybe just drop me a line and tell me that you did that, so that I will go back and change your class participation for that time. Okay, let's open our class time today with prayer. Do either of you want to share any special requests or concerns this morning? I know I've mentioned my older brother who was recovering from COVID and pneumonia. He was back in the hospital this week, but I think he's been discharged now. He's not any longer confined, I believe. So he just has a very long road of recovery ahead of him, since he had the pneumonia combined with the COVID. So the recovery period is just very, very long. All right. His name is Mike Newton. Thank you. Okay, Aya, would you like to lead us in prayer today for the opening of our class?
Sige po. Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Panginoon, for this day that you've given, and we're asking for your grace and help for our class today. Give us the wisdom that we need so that we will able to understand, and we're also praying that all the lessons that we will learn, Panginoon, dito sa class na to ay magamit po namin patuloy sa inyong ministry. Bigyan niyo po ng wisdom, especially si Mrs. B, as she teaches us. Kinocommit po namin ang time na to sa inyo. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, we'll start right in with the essential skills for this week, a new exercise. So I'm going to share my screen so that you can see that. Or if you're looking at your own copy, you can also do that. Okay, don't forget to type your name in the chat group. All right, can you see my screen? The exercise of number 8. Okay, great, great. You might have already taken a look at this in your document, but this week we're going to practice chords, different triads, and I know that you've had this in theory class, but this is going to be a review for you. So starting in C major, you have the major chord, then the augmented, then the major, the minor, and the diminished. So it sounds like this. And as you practice them, do talk to yourself, as I've been encouraging you to do all along. So you can say C major, augmented, major, minor, diminished. Then B major, augmented, major, minor, diminished. B flat major, augmented, and I believe this is spelled incorrectly. It should just still be the triad, B, D, F, and it should have a sharp on the F sharp, on the F. Major, minor, diminished. So these are all qualities of the triad, okay? That's why they should all be spelled the same way, either all space notes or all line notes, and then just have the accidentals applied to it. I didn't put the keys, so if you want to write those in, you can do that. Now you'll notice that Dr. Davis, in taking us through this exercise, takes us downward by half steps. The first part is in C major. The next key is B major. The next key is B flat major. The next key is A major. Why do you think he chose to take us through the keys in this way instead of, say, the circle of fifths or something like that? Does anyone have a volunteer of an idea why he would take us through the keys in this way? You would probably realize this if you were playing, but let me go ahead and point it out to you that when you finish the diminished chord, the top note in your C diminished chord is a G flat. And we could draw an arrow to the top note of the very next chord, which is the B major chord, and it's the same note. So, becomes the top note of your B major chord. Now we're in the B diminished chord, and that F natural becomes the top note of your B flat major chord. So it's a great way to progress through the keys, and it's a great way to just check up on yourself. When you end the two-measure exercise of the major, augmented, major, minor, diminished. Is your top note your next note? Your next top note in the major key. It's a good way to check yourself to make sure you're going through all of the keys and that you're spelling the chords right. Any questions on that or anything that's not clear on that? It's kind of a neat way to practice this exercise because you're connecting them. You're connecting the previous key to the coming key. You have a common tone there. Okay, so practice essential skills number 8 for this week. Okay, then we're going to go on to our lesson. I've already uploaded this into your Google Classroom. It's called class number 8. And as you see, if you look at it, and I'm going to share my screen here, our topic now is difficult hymns. So we're going to spend a couple weeks on this. I believe I had told you before that on week 10, we're going to do several weeks on modulation and how to use that in hymn playing. So I want to spend this week and next week on difficult hymns. And you've sent me some of your picks for difficult hymns. I think everyone had Wonderful Grace of Jesus on their list of difficult hymns. And I agree. I do agree that Wonderful Grace of Jesus is a difficult hymn. What makes it difficult? Have you thought about this hymn in a way to isolate or pinpoint what makes it difficult? Would somebody like to unmute and tell me one of the things? And I will tell you this up front. There are several things in this hymn that make it difficult, not just one, but who can volunteer an idea of one thing that makes this one difficult? Ezekiel, you're unmuted.
One thing, ma'am, is it's in the key of D flat, which is it's a bit hard to play.
Exactly. That would be my first thing, the key signature, okay? The key signature makes it difficult, okay? What else? Does anyone else have another thought on why it's difficult? Maya?
Quick tempo po.
Yes, the quick tempo. I'm gonna skip here.
Accidentals.
Yes, Blessy? I'm sorry, Blessy, what did you say? Whoops.
Accidentals.
Okay, accidentals, yes. All right, I've got some here. Dotted rhythms also was my second thought. Quick tempo, like Aya said. And accidentals, I didn't write down, but that is surely one, yes. And my fourth one was that the melody doesn't stay at the top, does it? If you look at the chorus, what are you supposed to play? If you're in 5-part style, what do you double? What do you play? What can you leave out, right? There's a lot going on. And I think we can agree that at the beginning, the basses have the melody. Right? And then probably we say, okay, then the sopranos take it over for a little while. and then we're kind of back in a normal, what we would call normal style. But it's hard, it's hard. What do you choose as something to highlight, and what do you do with your left hand? So these were the 4 things that I wanted to talk about today and what we can do about it, okay? So of these 4, I kind of have a solution. The 5th one that Blessy mentioned, the accidentals, I don't really have a solution to that, but maybe that will fall in the category of one of the others as we go along. Okay, so as we work through the difficult elements, let's talk about the key signature. I'm going to just say for a solution to the key signature, play it in C major. Many hymnals have it in D flat major. I think many older hymnals especially have it in D flat major. But Hymns of Grace and Glory, which we have in our chapel here, actually has Wonderful Grace of Jesus in C major. I love that. I love that. There is no reason not to play it in C major. There's not a reason to torture yourself and make yourself play it in D flat. Think of the closeness of the keys, okay? D flat and C, they're only a half step apart. We all know that in D flat, those high notes are really, really high, especially for congregations, you know? We all want to sing those high notes. We want that triumphant, joyful, energetic ending, but it's really high, right? For people in the congregation, it's really high. Taking it down a half step just helps that. Yes, just a little bit, but it helps, right? It's a half step lower. Again, it really, really makes a difference for the keyboard players. Now, one thing to just mention, and I'm sure you've already thought of this, if you have other keyboards playing with you or other instrumentalists, you would want to make sure they also have this copy, right? You would want to make sure that everyone's playing in the same key. So that would take a little work and preparation on your part before the service starts. If you're not using a hymnal that has it in C major, you would want to distribute that. You might even want to notify your song leader if you feel that that's necessary. It shouldn't affect him at all, but you might want to. This version of Wonderful Grace of Jesus that we have in our Hymns of Grace and Glory here at BJMBC, I compared it to the Wonderful Grace of Jesus in the Worship and Service hymnal. It is almost exact as far as the part writing. You know, the harmonies are exact. I think there's one place where there's a difference in a part writing, one chord. But it's still the same chord, it's just a different chord tone. So for that reason, also, I wouldn't hesitate to use it because anyone in the congregation singing from their hymn book and trying to sing parts, they would not be hindered at all because the part writing is exactly the same. Now you might have the unusual person out there who has perfect pitch and might be able to detect that, I don't think they're playing in D flat, but that's going to be a rare case, right? That's going to be rare. And it shouldn't really hinder anyone from singing their part. So that's my solution to difficult element number 1, the key signature. Play it in C major. It's much, much easier. All right, then let's go to my number 2, which is the dotted rhythms. Dotted rhythms can make a hymn hard. But for this, we've already talked a few weeks ago, and even in Hymnplaying 1, we probably talked about this, is that for dotted rhythms, in 5-part style, you don't play all 5 notes for every syllable. You don't do all the 16th notes in 5-part style. And also, you don't have to repeat the bass note octave either. In this little clip that I have for you here, if I were going to read this off the hymn book and play true 5-part style, it would probably sound something like this. Right? Almost bangy, if you want an adjective, you know, like I'm banging. The bass note is going to be just repeated, and there's lots of dotted notes. But what I would encourage you to do is what we talked about earlier in the semester. When you have dotted notes, the following note, which is normally a 16th or sometimes an 8th, play that just as a single melody note. So you see the arrow there pointing to that. Also, simplify the bass so that it doesn't come across as banging, like a hammer. You can just play it as a half note, like this, or if you sort of want to do a march style, you could do a continuous quarter note. That's as a half note. If you want the march style, or like we talked about last week, you want to do an alternative bass. It doesn't work if you use the F sharp as written, because I would be playing an F natural. It might work if you want it to, or maybe just for the first measure. But simplify the dotted notes. Don't worry about playing 5-part style on every one of those dots and the 16th notes that come after it. Okay? So those are 2 of the difficult elements. The third one that was mentioned is the quick tempo. Okay, what's the solution for a quick tempo? Do we want to sing this one slowly? Probably not. That's probably not the best solution for this difficulty. My solution for this one might sound insensitive, but for the solution to the quick tempo is practice. Practice and practice. Practice with a friend singing with you so that you're not tempted to slow down during some parts. As you're getting closer to using it for a service, practice with other instrumentalists, practice with the song leader. It might be a good idea, a really excellent idea to practice with the other instrumentalists anyway, because as was already pointed out, there are a lot of accidentals. So even if you're a violinist playing one line, you still have accidentals. Or if you're another instrument trying to play the alto line or the tenor line, you're going to have those accidentals. So good idea to practice together with the other instrumentals and the song leader eventually, so that you can make sure that you're all playing at a tempo that the song leader wants to sing it at. Okay, so all of those would be my suggestions for the quick tempo part of what makes it difficult. Okay, now what about the melody not staying at the top? Okay, and I'm giving you these illustrations in the key of C major. The melody doesn't stay at the top. You see my arrows here, the beginning of the chorus, the beginning of the refrain. I would say the basses, or the men, are written with the melody. Surely this is not the melody. Right? So the melody is undoubtedly in the left hand there, with the men having the melody. Then it changes, I think, once you get to the words wonderful. I suppose this could be arguable. Which one is the melody? Is it Is it still the men's part? Sorry. Higher than the mountain. Is that still the melody, or did it switch to the ladies now? Personally, I think it switches to the ladies, but whatever, we have a melody that is jumping around, a melody that's not always on the top, where we expect it to be, right? We expect it to always be in the sopranos. So what can we do about this, and what do you play? I have different options for you, okay? First of all, my first suggestion or option would be to play the bass as a single note. So in other words, you're not really using 5-part style here. And you'll notice that I've put some fingerings in, because you're going to have to cross over at one point. You'll notice I'm crossing 2 over in my left hand. Okay, so that can work. Okay, then in the next little piece, you can see my arrows that I actually let the melody go up into the right hand for a beat, so that I wouldn't be crossing hands or getting mixed up with what's happening where. So deeper than the mighty, and then my right hand takes the melody, rolling, then it goes back to the left hand. So the whole excerpt here sounds like this. Sorry. It will take some practicing, but at least you're not crossing over and trying to figure out where that melody is. Then continuing on, I would just put the fingering in for yourself. Adding fingering will help you practice it the same way every time. So that would be one option for you on the chorus. Play the bass note as a single note. You could play the bass note as a single note an octave down. Now that's going to take away the possibility of trading the melody back to the right hand for that beat. Okay, so you're going to have to work with some fingering there, but at least you get the bass down into the resonant part of your keyboard. So it would sound like this. So again, it's just a single note, but it gives a more resonant sound because you're down an octave. Okay, here's your third option, and I share this just because I know some of you want this challenge. You can play the bass as an octave if you want, okay? Okay, so if you want a challenge this week, practice the bass as an octave. But I would still just keep the right hand as 2 notes. It's got a lot going on, and there are places where the hands come really, really close to each other. And there's not really a tenor note given. If you look back in the original, in C major, you don't have a tenor note most of the time in the refrain, at least during the part where it's going back and forth. You don't have a tenor note, so you don't have to worry about 5-part style in that there's no tenor note to put up with your right hand, okay? That's why I'm giving you different options with the left hand. So, for a challenge, Ezekiel, I think you're up to this. Try playing the bass as an octave. Okay. The next option I would say is to just pop the melody, which we already agreed is in the left hand. Pop it into the right hand and play the melody with the right hand. Now this excerpt that I'm giving you here is from a simplified hymnal, which I worked on most of this summer. And as we delayed the beginning of BJMBC, I had more months to work on it. There are 75 or 80 hymns that I've worked on, simplifying from a regular hymn book. They use mostly 1, 4, and 5 chords in the left hand. So this simplified hymnal is not for you guys, but it's for churches that don't have a trained musician, or churches that need someone to jump in and play for congregational singing, and the hymn book is just too difficult. And 5-part style is not possible. So hopefully, I'm really hoping to finish the edits on the simplified hymnal and get it out soon, available. So one of the things when I was thinking about doing this simplified hymnal, I knew that I wanted to include Wonderful Grace of Jesus. Because Wonderful Grace of Jesus is one of our all-time favorite songs, right? Every church loves to sing it, but it's so daunting. We all know, I mean, we all feel bad for the pianist, right? When it's favorites night and someone chooses Wonderful Grace of Jesus, we all look at the pianist and we feel bad for them, right? So I knew that I wanted to include Wonderful Grace of Jesus. So I have worked on this one. And what I did, because of the difficulty of it, is I put the melody into the right hand and let the left hand play the chords. I think the men can still find their way to singing that line down in their range. And I think that we congregations have been singing this song long enough to where the ladies are going to go ahead and fill in, if they want to, the dotted rhythm. I've left it out here just for the simplification. So this is what these 2 lines sound like. And then you can keep going with the way it is. Okay, I haven't given you the whole thing. Although maybe I will upload that particular one into your Google Classroom material so that you can see what I've done. Because right here I'm only giving you the chorus, so I will go ahead and upload that entire file so that you can see what I did with it. Okay? So that sort of answers our 4 major elements of this song that are difficult, leaving out the chromatics or the accidentals. Now, if you look here at my excerpt from the simplified hymnal, you don't see a lot of accidentals, right? In the melody, you don't have a lot of accidentals. It's actually in the harmony parts where you have most of the accidentals. So if you're leaving the harmony parts out, or you're just paring it down to chords, that's going to take away some of the accidentals. Not all, but some. Okay, for the last couple minutes of our class, what about an introduction? Because that's also a little intimidating to look at the hymn and look at the last line. The last line, frankly, is a mess. I mean, if you look at it, there's a lot of notes there, and there are high notes, and there are added notes, and there are places where you can't reach the notes that are given to you. What about an introduction? This is what I would do for an introduction for this song. I would take the beginning, the first two measures of the song, Wonderful Grace of Jesus. Then I would take the cadence at the end, praise his name. So that's what I've written out for you here. You can see we start Wonderful Grace right on the downbeat. So if we're going to leave an empty beat for the congregation to breathe, it's beat 4 of the previous measure. It doesn't look like an empty beat because I didn't put a rest there, but it's an empty beat as in there's no chords being played. Okay, so see what you think. You can try coming in as if you're a congregation coming in, although you don't have a song leader. So this would be my introduction. So I think that also helps to simplify things. If you're not trying to go through all of that last line that's given to you in the hymnal. Oh, magnify the precious name. It's a lot of notes, some accidentals again. You're getting into high notes. You're getting into places where it's an octave in the right hand. And I think that this will just simplify it for the introduction. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our first difficult song. Now, many of you wrote in other difficult songs, and we're going to be covering more of those next week. But for your assignment this week, first of all, practice essential skills, exercise number 8. Then I want you to practice Wonderful Grace of Jesus. I plan to upload also a scan of Wonderful Grace of Jesus in C major, in case this one in your handout doesn't come out quite clear enough. I just took a picture and inserted it into the handout. So it may not be super clear. I'm going to also do a scan of that in C major and upload that to your Google Classroom. So you'll have that, guard it with your life, keep it under lock and key, right? Save it somewhere where you always have it so you don't lose it. Make copies for your instrumentalists. Okay, so along with essential skills number 8 and practicing Wonderful Grace of Jesus, I also want you to think of some other difficult songs, maybe the ones that you sent to me, the titles you sent to me, some of which we're going to cover next week. I want you to see if you can identify what makes the song difficult. Remember at the very beginning of class today, we looked at Wonderful Grace of Jesus and we said, what makes this difficult? What are the elements that make it difficult? We had, 5 in Wonderful Grace of Jesus. No wonder it's hard, right? There are 5 different things in it that can be challenging. So as you look at A Mighty Fortress, for example, or All Creatures of Our God and King, or Living for Jesus, or I can think of a couple others that are difficult. Try to look at least 2 different songs other than Wonderful Grace of Jesus. Look at 2 of them and try to pinpoint what is it that makes this hymn difficult. Okay? So you're not necessarily going to be practicing this hymn, but still count this as practice time. This is practice time. Looking up the hymn, studying it, looking for what those elements are that make it difficult. That's practice time. Count that into your practice time. All right? Remember that uploading your videos is also counted as practice time. Commenting, the time that you take to listen to other people's videos and comment on those, that's also practice time. So I'll let you do that. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention is that next week is a quiz week. So not week 8, but week 9 and 10 will be quiz weeks. So for those of you that I meet on odd numbered weeks, you will have a quiz next week. This is what I will quiz you over. I'm going to quiz you over essential skills number 7 or 8. I will let you choose, because if you have your quiz early in the week, for example, you might not have done much practicing on essential skills number 8. So I'll let you choose number 7 if you will. And then I want you to also demonstrate wonderful grace of Jesus as far as you have practiced by the time of your quiz. And introduction. Let's see. Aya, are you on Monday? Right away on Monday? Okay, I'll let you choose whether you're going to play A Wonderful Grace of Jesus or something from the previous week on alternate bass notes, okay? All right. It's not quite fair. You have to do yours right away on Monday. All right. So any other questions? Things that I have forgotten to cover? You have your assignment, told you about the quizzes, and when we're finished here, I will upload 2 things to your Google Classroom. The Wonderful Grace of Jesus, entire new score file from the new simplified hymnal, and a scan of Wonderful Grace of Jesus in C major. That will have to wait till I get home because my scanner is at home. Okay? All right, anything else? All right, thank you guys. I hope you have a good weekend.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. See you later. Bye.